Well, cheers, mate.
Well, thank you, sir.
Today I'm joined by a good mate of mine, Glen, who'll be very familiar to a lot of you from his years as editor of Modern Fishing, and he's got a long and varied history in fishing. Can you remember what are your first fishing memories?
My first fish was a bay trout, or salmon trout as I used to call them, off the Boneheads Road Bridge, so I was probably 5 years old.
Wow.
And then we had some new neighbours move in, and they had a boat, and they joined the Victorian Game Fishing Club. This is about 1979, I guess. Mm. So I went to a meeting with them, and wow, that's when the slippery slope sort of stretched out in front of me.
Yeah.
So then all I could think about was getting to Bermagui. And in those early days, you know, the learning curve was pretty steep. Finished at school, studied town planning, and then the offer of a job at Modern Fishing came up, and I went, yep, that's me, I'm out of here, and left Melbourne, moved to Sydney in 85. Yeah, so I was assistant editor of Modern Fishing for 18 months, and left for a spell, and then came back as editor. In that period, still game fishing off Sydney, but what used to take us 7.5 hours or more to get to from Melbourne was now 30 minutes away from the front door, and you know, it was just quite an exciting time. I mean, I had no concept of how big tiger sharks or makos are until I saw what was getting caught off Sydney. And it was a period where trolling these little buggers for blue marlin in particular really started to catch hold. And guys like Peter Goby and Arch Livingston and Joe Ritchie and a number of others who had all been to Hawaii, seen the techniques there, and there was always a few blues in Australia, but they never really... There was never a lot caught. Quite a few big ones caught on shark baits, drifting, but most times, you know, these sorts of lures would be put out on a 15-kilo line, and 3 hours later the line breaks and the fish is gone. But so the idea was that fish a bit heavier, and 24 kilo was like quite a heavy line class back in those days. But over a period of time, you know, more 80s started to appear, and then 130s, and the chase was on to be the first person to catch a 1,000-pound blue marlin, certainly in Australia, if not the East Coast.
And of course, even before you were editor of Modern Fishing, you were doing some writing. I mean, I remember getting your first article when I was editor of Fishing World magazine with a colour print of a bluefin tuna lying next to a rod and reel. Where would that have been out of? Was that Portland?
Probably Portland.
Yeah.
So pre-84, and that was stuff for the Burley Slick, which is the club magazine, used to come out every month, and I used to write little snippets for news pages for various fishing magazines, and that would have been what that was from. But my first article ever was published was in Fishing World about catching snapper and dewies off the Gold Coast.
Okay.
And I would have still probably been at school then, or might have just left. Yeah, that's going back a long time.
It's going back a long while. All right, so moving forward into the tuna era, you know, the big elephant here on the wall. I mean, we saw the glory days of that, didn't we, at Montague and the 4 Mile, those inshore waters down off Bermagui.
Oh, it was fantastic. The early days, there seemed to be no problem to catch a yellowfin. Catching big ones was the hard thing, but you just put some lures out around the 4 Mile and start trolling any direction. There's a fair chance you're going to get a yellowfin. There's less marlin around in those days, and the fishing at like the 4 Mile, the pinnacles at the bottom end of the island, the top of the island especially. I mean, I saw some tuna there that you just like milling around at your feet basically, and just because you could see them didn't mean you could catch them.
No.
And fishing with guys like Johnny Jubb who did it for a living, you sort of, everyone talks about finesse fishing for bream, but there's finesse fishing and game fishing too, and he had little cunning little tricks that if you didn't go with him you wouldn't know about him, and if you didn't keep your eyes open you'd miss the subtleties of it all. And he was the one that consistently caught big tuna.
And you caught this one in what year?
I think 94, yeah.
That was very much towards the end of it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was only a handful caught that year and then less the following, and then it was all over. And it seemed to me that those fish the big ones were the ones that were left. Like you say, there were more fish in that 95 to 115 kilo class caught right towards the end of the run, weren't they?
Yeah.
What did yours weigh?
That was 103, and that was at the top end of the island on a very blustery day, and it only took 17 minutes, which is well record pace for a yellowfin of any size, but came up tail wrapped, and that took the sting out of it, and we got the fish in the boat, and Graham Baker said, I've got a mark on there where the 90 kilo fish tails usually rest, and this thing was beyond it, so he was very excited about it.
Yeah.
Went back to the Dan Boy, threw some more burley in the water, hooked another jumbo, and I thought it was a seal when it went past, and got him on. 20 minutes later, the hook pulled. We got a call from the lighthouse keeper, who I'd never heard speak on the radio ever, said, I've just recorded 65 knots of wind. Okay, so we went and got the Dan Boy and had to head back to Narooma rather than Bermagui, punching into it, and then came down the beach back to Boothy Harbour. And
What was it, a nor'wester? Or?
I went to the west, and big dust storm, and it was a pretty savage day. But so I'm very pleased with that one. But for many years, struggled with getting one over the old-fashioned 100-pound mark, and then in the end they came with a rush. There was a 51, a 73, an 83, and then 103. So
well, we had a running joke. I think how many 44 kilo yellowfin can you catch? So you're just under that 100-pound. It's a bit like guys chasing metre-long Murray cod, and they keep catching 98 centimetre ones, or barra or whatever. But and then once you smashed it, you really
on the roll.
Yeah.
But I mean, we should have been more appreciative of those fish because we just don't see them anymore.
That inshore run is gone. And I can only assume we caught them all. It was a subpopulation of yellowfin, and when you think about it, they circulated between probably Stockton at Newcastle down to Green Cape and back again, and they must have been almost a subspecies of yellowfin.
One theory I heard, which makes a bit of sense, was that. But also about that time, the striped marlin fishery down at Bermagui just went through the roof. Penciled in this idea of chasing the world record on 8 kilo, and I can remember we used to fish the 12 mile for yellowfin and never saw top to bottom schools of slimy mackerel and cow and young like we did in sort of the 90s. And the first time we put 8 kilo in the water, fluke the frigate mackerel that morning, put it out, towed it around, hooked up, threw the boat after about 10 minutes, and then caught a striped tuna that was a real handful on 8 kilo, and put him out there for probably an hour and a half, and very cramped fingers trying to hold this whisper thin line, and then finally got the bite and fought it for an hour, and so scraped in by 1 kilo. It's still the Australian record, but the world record got swamped by the Kiwis after that, like successively.
They own that now.
I think now the world record's 170 on 8 or something.
What was
like
yours?
that. 106.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome, roaring around, backing down on these things.
And amazing what you could do on that tackle. It was an eye-opener for me to fish with you a couple of times on the 8 kilo. You actually can pull on fish on 8 kilo. It's not silly gear,
So,
it's a lot of fun. You still need a good boat driver.
So, 40 O'Briens, they're pretty good for that sort of thing. So,
Okay, so now you're up here near Coffs Harbour on the beautiful north coast of New South Wales. What was behind that move, and when did it happen?
So I left modern fishing around about the time of the World Trade Center and Ansett demise. It was all happened in threes. That was the big three. Snapper, trag, pearlies, tuskies, jewfish. And the game fishing, it's been tough the last few years, and there's a lot less interest here than there was once. 4 years ago, one of the tournaments here, 44 blue marlin tagged in a weekend. Wow. So that's well cast. And since then, it's been dreadful. But so I've got a boat here and tend to marlin fish in summer, and then revert to fishing for reds in winter, and dragging these guys around. And some of them are 30 plus years old, and they're still catching fish, no trouble at all. So, and crazily enough, these JEs are very collectible these days, and they're not bringing as good a money as they were before. But I've seen them for sale and them getting sold for between $300 and $400.
Wow.
which is incredible for a bit of resin and some vinyl and so no, they're people collect them. I'd rather use them, and I'd cry tears of blood every time I lose one. But they're going out with their boots on. It's not you're not running them over with the boat or something like that. So.
And what's left on the bucket list for you? What would you? I mean, obviously you'd like to pin a grander out here, I bet.
Yeah, probably. We fish 80-pound line on 50 wide Tiagras, which do tend to get empty real quick, and we've seen the bottom of the spool a couple of times, but I won't say it's skilled boat driving, but panic boat driving has got enough line on the reel that we've been able to chase after the fish. With Dacron backing these days, a 50 wide now can hold a lot more line than it once did, as crazy as that may sound. And if you're still connected after the crazy first few minutes of the blue marlin, you're in with a chance. But and it's a matter of more drag in many cases. Like, you can't be pussyfooting around them, because if they sound, you're in a world of hurt there. But if you can keep them on top and keep close to them, you've got a good chance. But and the rigging from the early days has changed massively too. I mean, once upon a time that lure probably would have had two 11-0 hooks in it. These days it's a single 11-0 with 600-pound cable, not toothpicked at the back, but a rubber bung pushed in there so you get your hook set in a way that it's actually going to hook the fish, either the roof or the mouth or the top of the mouth, or the bottom of the mouth. Yeah. And running the hook point down is that's what I suppose you say is on trend at the moment. But and I just love all the rigging variations. And these days with the internet and Facebook and so forth, you new trends and new techniques in the world's hotspots. Everyone's onto them straight away. Whereas before you had to wait till the magazine came out or something like that. It was a substantial delay, but
definitely the big singles, you reckon, is the way to go. You've found
not even big, like probably. Say if you thought the lure once needed an 11-0, you put a 10-0 in it, which opens it up for more. If you're not fishing blues all the time, it opens up for stripes and blacks as well. So
that bit of cable in there must have saved you a few lures on wahoo over the years too.
Well, actually, except for trips we used to do to Lord Howe, we've never lost a lure to had the skirts chopped, but we've always managed to stay attached. But
I see one up the end there that's had
the old Melbourne jet has definitely done some hard yards on various species. And I started running out off the shotgun rig purely to catch a wahoo, and the marlin just wouldn't leave it alone. But wahoo did find it. I'm concerned about the state of the skirts, and I've searched the world to find the matching skirts, and they don't exist anymore. But,
if you had to nominate the lure out of that lineup that would hook the grander, what do you think it'd be?
Probably. There's a trend now is to go back to vinyl, the old car upholstery vinyl.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's a bit old school, and there's a bit of a knack to getting the skirt right. Yeah. But once you do it, like they definitely smoke, and the rough underside of the vinyl seems to trap a lot more air. So your bubble trails behind the lure are quite distinct.
It's probably like the trend towards timber lures, with all the lovely plastic hard bodies we've got around these days. A lot of guys are going back to like Nella's timber lures.
Like cane fly rods.
Yeah, exactly.
There's something about those old
nostalgia.
So
well, I think if anyone's going to pin the big one out there, mate, it's as likely to be you as anyone else. I'll drink to that.
Oh, cheers, mate.
Cheers. Catch up. What do you think of this?
Yes, very tasty.